Okay, so this component is all about the stretches. Okay, so we're going to be doing stretches, strengthening and self-help. So this is the stretches component and you need to be doing these stretches every day. Now to start off with, I'm going to demonstrate what we call the pelvic tilt. So if I ask Keith to stand, stretches are either done really well or really poorly, and the difference can be very subtle, and most of the time it's just because the pelvis is not in the right position. So I'm going to get Keith to just demonstrate what a pelvic tilt is. It is just a very small action where if I get him to relax and then he's going to tilt, where the pelvis physically tilts backwards just ever so slightly. And if I get him to relax again and show a really bad version of what most people do, you can see that his knees want to bend, he actually thrusts his hips forward, but he's not actually doing the action from the pelvis. So if I get him to relax and then do a pelvic tilt, you'll see it's very small. So remember those for when we start our stretches. So the first one is a seated gluteal stretch. So in a seated position, nice and upright with the body. Alright, so for this particular stretch, in this position here, most of you will start off about here. As you get better at it, the glutes will release enough for the knee to come down into this position. Now the key here is to pretend like you're on a puppet on a string and sit really upright. So for this one, chest proud and the knee in this position here. Very gently, you can add a little bit of pressure and feel it really deep into the gluteal. Alright, so of course you'll do it both sides, 20 to 30 seconds on each side. Now there's a variation to this one. I'll get Keith to lay down and show an alternative for the same muscles. So in this position, Keith's going to bring his knee up like you did before, but this one should have nice relaxed head and shoulders, okay? So making it all about the gluteal stretch and not about the hip and shoulders. He's going to dive his hands in through the gap and pull in the second knee. Now this adds the overpressure in through here. So grab hold, so you're pulling in through here and this knee stays wide. The stretch should be felt deep in these gluteals, and again Keith's in control of how hard he pulls that. So this leg here as wide as you can, 20 to 30 seconds again on each side. So you can choose to do the seated or the laying down position. Now we have a third option that allows this position to become a little more user-friendly for when you're starting out. And a towel put through the gap here and fold it under through that supporting leg. So keeping this knee free. It's still available for stretch. Now Keith's going to gather the towel into one hand and pull. Now you'll notice his neck and shoulders are still relaxed. None of the neck and shoulders are needed to help. But he pulls with this hand, so this leg has now come in and he can use this other hand to help guide this knee. So this is fairly advanced and allows good stretch through these gluteals. Again, 20 to 30 seconds on each side. So you can choose between the seated one he demonstrated first, the laying down with no towel, or the laying down with a towel. We'll move on to quadriceps, so I'll ask Keith to stand for us. Alright. So, this is done where you grab hold of your foot and bring heel towards bottom. Now the key here is by getting the knees together. You'll notice that Keith can actually stand quite proud with his knees together. Now this is where the pelvic tilt really counts. That tiny little shift of tucking the tail under in order to get a deeper stretch through the quadriceps at the front here. Standing nice and upright, again 20 to 30 seconds on each side. Another version to be able to achieve the same stretch is done seated. So if I get Keith to sit down and he's going to swing his back leg up. Now this one here, the body faces away from the leg. So he's tilted his body around. Again, chest is proud, knee is as vertical as possible. Now this is the key. Being able to put the knees straight. Most of you will have it either coming forward or coming out to the side. Deep, nice and straight down to the ground. Now to make this one even stronger, that pelvic tilt comes into it, where you very slightly tilt the tail under for a deeper stretch in the front. 20 to 30 seconds, and I would get Keith to go the other way and do the other leg. Okay, so next we're going to work more on the hip flexor. So deeper again, I'm going to get Keith to kneel on the end of the bench. Now you would do this on the floor. I'm just showing you on the bench for convenience. Make sure this is done on the floor, preferably with a mat. Bring one leg forward. Now Keith's going to lunge into this position here. Here's where the stretch is coming deep into the hip flexor. Chest proud. Now, not everyone's going to be able to get right down deep like that. Keith's quite flexible in there. But again, that pelvic tilt comes into it. We're very slightly tuck the pelvis under, and Keith will be getting a really nice deep stretch in the front of those hip flexors. 20 to 30 seconds on each side. Make sure you always do the second side. Okay, so I'm going to get Keith to sit for me. And this is for different parts of the glutes. So swing your legs up onto the bench seated, and he's going to bring one knee over the top of the other as if he's aiming for the opposite shoulder. So this knee aiming for the opposite shoulder. To start with, most of you will probably be getting a stretch out of that, but Keith's a little bit more flexible, and he's going to pull it a little bit tighter using this arm, and he's going to look away from that stretch. So you should be feeling it right up into the glutes. And again, 20 to 30 seconds on each side. As you become more advanced, Keith can actually pull that knee even closer to this shoulder by using his arm. So I'll get you to actually grab hold with your hand and pull it in tight to this shoulder here. So you'll see that Keith can get that further. He won't be able to twist his body anywhere near as far, but he'll be getting a deeper gluteal stretch. Again, swapping sides, 20 to 30 seconds on each side. All right, laying down for me, I'm going to show you how to do a really good calf stretch, again using our towel. So this is done, doesn't matter shoes on or shoes off, but Keith's going to put the towel onto his foot, grab hold of the edge of the towel. All right. So holding onto the ball of the foot with the towel. You'll see already there's going to be a calf stretch there. Now Keith's been doing this for a long time, so he can actually pull the toes towards his face, feeling a stretch right at the back of the calf. Now, by altering the position of where Keith wants to pull, if he pulls evenly with both hands, it's a direct stretch through the back of the calf. But just by tilting the towel ever so slightly and pulling harder on one hand, it tilts the foot, so he'll be getting a stretch into the inside of the calf. And when he tilts the other way, he'll be getting a stretch on the outside of the calf. So he's doing all parts of these really strong gastroc muscles, not just the middle. And this is an area that people neglect to do. They forget to do all components of the calves and just focus on the one. Excellent. All right. So we'll show you a standing version in just a moment, but that was our calf stretch. Again, other side must be done. In this position, we're going to extend it to the hamstrings. So the hamstrings are a key area for back pain because they come and connect right up into the glutes. If hamstrings are really tight, it can cause a pelvic tilt the other way. So for those of you who might be walking a little bit like this, we need to stretch out the hamstrings and lengthen that area. Okay, so I'm going to get Keith to put his foot back into the towel. So instead of focusing on the toes this time, because when you pull the toes that gets the calves, this time he's going to put it in the middle of his foot or towards his heel even, and this time the stretch comes into the hamstrings. So relaxing the neck and shoulders, you shouldn't be making it a hard neck workout. Keith's being able to stretch through here. Some of you will feel it towards the insertion point, some of you will feel it in the belly, and some of you might even feel it down into the gluteals where they originate from. So the aim is to just hold 20 to 30 seconds or until you start feeling that ease. And of course do the other side. Excellent. So that's a hamstring laying down stretch. We're going to show you the standing version, so I'll have Keith stand up. All right. So I'm going to get Keith to stand a little bit side on just to show you, but he's going to put a foot up onto the bench for me. Now normally you would face front on, but so you're not seeing our backs, Keith's going to stand on a little bit of an angle and he's going to be very upright with his posture. Now leading with the chest and not the head, he's going to lean over this leg. Again, feeling the hamstring stretch here. Some of you will find this way too tight. Soften it off. Just bend your knee just a small amount so it takes the pressure off until you get better at this, and then you would work on straightening the knee again. Now the common mistake is that people just want to duck their head and they assume that's a stretch, but Keith can get quite far with that, but he's feeling nothing. So when he stands up proud and leans with his chest, then he's got more hope of feeling the hamstring stretch up through here. Alright, final stretch we're going to show here is, if I get Keith to lay down, we're going to stretch the lower back and into the hips. Okay, so from this position here, Keith's going to bring his knees towards one side and have his body looking the other way. So really working on through the hips and through into the lower back. Now once you're better at this, you can straighten this leg and bring the other leg up over the top. Now of course we're on a narrow bench here, you would do this on the ground, and Keith will feel this really firmly through the hip and a little bit into the lower back. As you get better at this, you're going to want to look the other way and give your back a little bit of rotation. Now it shouldn't be a super strong stretch. Don't push it further than what's comfortable, but Keith will be feeling that into his hip. And of course we want to stretch the other side. So let's go on to the standing calf stretches, and we'll talk about that at the step. So here we're demonstrating the calf stretch, but the standing version. So Keith's just up on a step, so your front garden step or a step in the house would be fine. Let one heel come off the edge and very gently let it lower towards the ground. Controlling it, shouldn't be rushed in any way. Control the heel straight down towards the ground until you feel a gentle stretch in the back of the calves. Once you feel it ease after about 20 seconds, you're going to bend your knee. So you're bending your knee of the leg that's being stretched, and you're going to feel it deeper into the Achilles. Okay? So 20 to 30 seconds on each side, starting with the straight-legged version, ending with the bent-legged version. Make sure you do both sides.